Greetings. My name is Dr. Ravi Gadani. I serve as both a surgeon and an educator at a medical college located in Western India. During 15 years of my experience as a medical educator, I have frequently utilized Microsoft Office suite much like many of my peers. Recently, I was assigned the task of allocating specific courses to students based on their merit and their ranking. Students are ranked according to defined criteria. Then they submit their course preferences in the order of their interest, with each course offering only a limited number of seats. Recognizing the potential of Microsoft Excel to streamline this work, I successfully developed an Excel file that managed efficiently these student allocations by using certain tailored formulas. After several iterations, I can say that I could reasonably automate this entire task. This task, you can compare it with the student counseling that happens, admission counseling that happens after NEET PG or GATE or other entrance tests that are conducted in India. This video serves three audiences. First, medical educators in India who are seeking efficient methods to assign electives to undergraduate MBBS students. Secondly, individuals interested in allocating seats to candidates based on merit and preferences across various fixed seat courses. And third is the vibrant community of Excel enthusiasts who may wish to review the second part of the video and provide me with constructive feedback or any alternative methods in the comment section. I would really love you to see this video and provide me with feedback. The video comprises two sections. The first section deals with individual formula and functions which are applied in the final Excel file. This part is suitable if you do not have a lot of knowledge about Excel. Part 2 or second part showcases the completed Excel file with all the functions and formulas already applied, and I will walk you through how I have applied each one of them. So people who have existing knowledge of Excel or those who have advanced knowledge of Excel can of course directly jump to this part. I have put the timestamps in the description. For greater efficiency, you may consider adjusting the playback speed of this video. Let us now begin. In order to explain how I have created an Excel sheet that I can allot the specific seats with, I have created these three Excel files. The first file goes as Excel Basics, whereby I will talk about few basic Excel things for those who are absolutely new. The second one is known as Function and Formulas, whereby I have created separate sheets in order to explain each function and formula that I have used in the final file. And here we put all of these that we have learned into use and create a final Excel sheet whereby we can do the allotment based on merit. So let us begin with so this is a basic file, which means that you want to know that Excel is a program whereby there are rows and columns of data. You can enter rows and columns of data. This is a single Excel file, but an Excel file can have multiple sheets. So you can see here it says sheet 1, sheet 2 and sheet 3. It is like having multiple pages in a single notebook. You can also rename these sheets. It is written as sheet 1, but I can also rename it as I want. Secondly, there are rows which are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there are columns which are alphabetically named A, B, C, D, E up to many more. You can add a column and you can also delete a column. If you do so, the column to the left of it will get added or deleted, and the same applies for the row, whereby you can insert a row above the row that you have selected, and the same applies to the row when you delete it. You can fill a cell with a particular color. You can also change the color of the text. you can select it and you can change the color of the text. And the next thing that you want to remember is that each cell has a specific address in Excel. So when I have selected this cell, it falls in column B and it falls in row 5. So the cell is known as B5. You can see the address of the cell right here. It says B5. If I go here and check this, it is H10. If I go here and check this, this is L17. There are many other formulas and functions that we can see in the next sheet. So I'm closing this sheet. In this Excel file, we are going to see these various formulas and functions. Let us begin with the function of sorting. So you have this data set whereby there are students' names, their date of birth and their marks. Now consider I want to sort this data according to who has received the highest marks. I can select the data, I can go to sort and filter, then custom sort, then I can select this, that my data has headers. If I say my data has headers, it means that it will exclude the topmost row. Currently they are sorted by name. I can go here, I can change it to marks, I can go sort on cell values, and instead of smallest to largest, I can sort them by largest to smallest. I can hit OK, and now you can see that the names have been sorted according to who has received the highest marks. Let's see the second function, which is cell format. So if you see, I can take a particular cell and I can format it in manners like I can fill in a color. The colors can be various from this. I can do no fill. You can also change the text color. Then there is something known as conditional formatting. When I say conditional formatting, it means that it will format a particular cell based on if certain conditions are met or not. So consider that I have these students and these are their marks. I want to highlight which students have received 50 marks or above than 50 marks. What I can do is I can select this data in the home tab only. I can go to something known as conditional formatting. Once I click it, there will be many options. Let us go to highlight cell rules. Now when I say highlight cell rules, it opens up the sub menu whereby I can just go and hit greater than. So if it is greater than a particular number, it will highlight it. So consider that I write here 50, which means that it will highlight all the cells which are higher than 50. Now I can change how do you want them to be highlighted. Light red fill with dark red text, or yellow fill with dark yellow text, or green fill with dark green text. Any of this, and you can also change this, and if you hit OK, it means it gets highlighted. Now consider that this particular marks I change from 54 to 48, which is less than 50, and I hit enter. It automatically gets the conditional formatting applied because it is less than 50. It removes that dark green text with green highlight. So this is conditional formatting. Let us see what is data validation. Consider that you have to write choice of colors from this particular list in these lists below. So you want to write, you can either write for the first cell, you can write red, then you want to choose for blue, then you may want to choose yellow, etc. But consider that you want to restrict the entries or in these cells to this particular list only, which means that you want that anybody who enters in can choose from these 4 colors rather than typing it. What I will do is, if I want to do it for these cells, I would select these cells, then I would go to data. We were in home tab earlier, now we will go to data. Then we can go to this particular thing known as data validation. I will select data validation, and now what we are trying to do is that we have selected these cells and we are allowing any value right now. What we want to select is, we want to select a particular list that we are not no more allowing any value, we are just allowing a particular list. So it will ask us that where is the source of your list. So we will select and we will click at the source, and then we will go to this place and then we will select these 4, which means that now it will allow a list. But which list? From I1 to I4. So whatever is written in I1 to I4, that is what it will allow. Okay. What we can also do is we can select even few more blank cells, right? And then we will hit OK. Now what is going to happen is choice of color is there. Now if you go down, you can see this small drop down menu has appeared. So now you can select red, you can select yellow, and in modern version of Excel, even if you just type B, the blue will come up, because B in this range means blue. If I write G, green will come up. So that way the data entry becomes not just restricted, but it also becomes faster. Now, because we had selected few empty cells while in the list, we allowed few empty cells in the list. If I write here that there is a black also available, now here also in your list the black will appear, right? So this is not just data validation, this is a sub segment of data validation known as list. Let us look at XLOOKUP now. Now let us look at a function called XLOOKUP. So lookup functions are functions whereby the formula looks up a particular value, then it looks up at the array of another values, which can be a table, and returns a particular value by the side of that cell. So consider that we have, this is our main database, whereby we have names of some faculties, their departments, and their joining years. Now consider that we want that I would write the name of the faculty here, and the department's name should automatically pop up at this site depending on this list. So Dr. Sunil is in Department of Botany, in which case if I type Dr. Sunil here, then his Department of Botany should come here automatically. That is my idea. What I can do is, so I write the name of one of the faculty. Now what I want is, I want this cell to come up automatically with the department's name. The function I am going to use, or formula I am going to use, is something known as XLOOKUP. So after once we select this cell, we are in this cell, what we'll do is we will go to the formulas tab, then we will go to the option called lookup and reference. When we go there, we can go down and we can find something known as XLOOKUP. So the first thing is, it asks us that lookup value, which value do you want to look up to first? So we say that we want to look up this value. Then we say that lookup array, in which table, which column do you want to see for this value? So we will select this array, and because we want it to be an absolute reference, what we will do is we will make it absolute by clicking at the I2 and then pressing F4, which means that it is going to be an absolute reference. The return array we want is this. We want the department's name to automatically populate. We will again make it an absolute reference by clicking in between and pressing F4, and then we hit OK, which means now you can see that Department of Botany was populated. It came automatically once we wrote Dr. Sunil here. Now consider I change the name to Dr. Rakesh. It immediately changes to Department of Psychology, because what the function did was, it saw that you have written Dr. Rakesh here. It looked for Dr. Rakesh, and whatever was written in the return array, which is in J column, it brought it down to this place. Now what I want is, I want to pull this formula down. I want the same formula to be applied to these cells as well, so that when I write Dr. Emmanuel here, it should pop up with the corresponding department. So what I will do is, I will just I'll click on the cell, I'll go to the bottom right corner, and I will pull the formula down to as many cells as I want. And now you can see that Dr. Emmanuel is in Department of Performing Arts. So it is written here. The moment we enter another name here, it will come up with its department. So this is known as X lookup. It's a very important function in Excel, and we will be using it in our final file. So the next function that we are going to see is that known as countif, right? So consider I have this column whereby I am going to write the color of particular shirts, which are either red, blue or yellow, number of times that they occur. And I want to find out that how many red shirts I have, how many blue and how many yellow I have. That means that how many times have I written red in this array, or blue in this array, or yellow in this particular array. So what I can do is I can write red, blue and yellow in a separate column, separate cells, and in the cell that is beside the color I can apply a formula. So I have written red and I am applying formula next to it. So I can go to the formulas tab, I can go to more functions, statistical functions, and I can find countif. Now what will happen is I'll first give it the range. Consider my range is A1 to A15, and then I will make it absolute by going in between A and 1 and applying F4, hitting F4 on your keyboard. The same I will do with the A5. Now what is the criteria? The criteria is red, or I can just select the cell. Once I select the cell F1 whereby red is written and I say OK. Now you can see that I can pull this and I can apply the formula to the remaining cells. Now let us see this, that because I have written red in this column, I have written red just once, it is 1. Now I start writing here red. You can see that the number is changing live. You can see this. You can keep your attention here and you will see that the number is changing live, right? So this is countif function, right? Now let us see a function if. If is a statistical function, if is a logical function, which means that you are telling a particular cell or the function to return a value by applying a particular logic. You give it a test and the test has a answer yes or answer no, and depending on that answer it will bring back the result. Now consider there is age of registered delegates. You are entering age of registered delegates in a particular column, 18, 50, 45 and maybe 65, right? Now what you want to do is you want to know that what is the number of adults which are above 18 years of age, right? So what I will do is I will go here, and what I can do is I can just apply a logic that if it is less than 18 then I want the result to be 0. If it is more than 18 then I want the result to be 1. So now I can go here, I can apply the logical test where there is if. Now the logical test is we will go beside it and we will write that if it is more than 18, if it is more than 18, then if true, if it is more than 18, I want you to put there the return the value as 1, but if it is less than 18 then I want you to put it as 0. And if I hit OK, that means that because it is 18 it came out to be 0. Now I can just pull and I can apply the formula for every other cell. Consider that I put the next age as 12, it will remain 12. If I put the next age as 69, it will come as 1. If I put the next age as 19, it will come as 1. So what I want to highlight here is that this is a function or formula which applies a logical test and then returns the value. The last function that we want to see within this file is something known as nested if. Now here multiple logical tests are applied within the same cell. So consider that I have 3 red shirts, 3 yellow shirts and 1 blue shirt. Now the way I want to give the shirts is if red are available then red are to be given, but if they are not available then we ask another question whether yellow is available. If it is available then yellow is to be given, and if that is not available then blue is available or not. So thus you can see that it is not just one logical test, it is multiple non-logical tests, and they are nested or they are within the another logical test. The way we apply is, we go to the cell, we go to formulas, we go to logical, and then we select IFS. So the first test is, if this number, which is the number of shirts available in red color, if it is more than 0, if the value is true, in which case we will return this value, which is the color. But if it is false, then we apply the second logical test, which is this number, if it is more than 0, in which case if this value is true, then we want the formula to return this particular value. If it is not so, then the third formula is applied, which is if this number is more than 0. If it is true, then we want it to apply as blue, and then we can just close the bracket. Now, when we say that we are applying this, which means that now you can see that I can change these numbers. So consider that right now it selected red because 3 red shirts are available, but consider we run out of red, and if I go to 0, then it will immediately bring yellow, because now it will apply the second test and it will come with yellow. But if yellows also go 0, then it will come to blue. So as far as there is one red, it will apply that test and this particular shirt will be given. So this is nested if function. So now we go to the actual file 3, which is a practice data set for allotment. Now here I am going to apply various functions and formulas that we learned so far. Those of you who are already Excel enthusiasts may relate it better. So let us begin. So as I said earlier, what you would have in the beginning is, number 1, the details of the seats, which are there in this sheet 2, seat details, which means that these are the branches, these are their departments, and total number of available seats are like this much. And you would also have preferences. So consider there were 20 students, these many, and they had secured this much marks in their tests. So these are the marks depending on which we are going to rank them. And for the first student, for the student named Gurmeet, his first preference is astronomy, the second is geology, the third is metallurgy, and fourth is botany. The same applies for every student. So this area tells us about the student details, and this area tells us all the 4 preferences. What we begin by is sorting them according to their marks, so that we know that who is number 1 and whose preference is to be given the priority. So we select this table, we go on the home tab, which is already selected, we go to sort and filter, we go to custom sort, and we apply the first level. You can see that my data has headers, I have already selected it, and we sort by marks, cell values, and we go from largest to smallest. But we also add a level. If there are 2 students who have the same marks, then we also want to see their age. So we will go to date of birth, cell values, and we want to sort them from oldest to newest, which means that the student who is older at the same marks would be put earlier in the merit list, and then we hit OK. Now you can see that these names have been sorted. So Rohit, Mahak, Charvi, Sunil, so their marks are 94, 91, where the marks were similar, which means 91 and 91. You can see that the older student is given the priority, right? So now these all depend on your institution's choice. Let us now go to the seat detail. Now we are starting with the actual process. So besides this total seat, you want to add 2 more columns. The columns are already added. You want to name them as allotted seats, and the second column is remaining seats. You may just apply the same format as the other one, and you may make them easily readable. Now you go back to sheet 1, which is the preference sheet. So in this file there are two sheets. Sheet 1 is preference sheet, which is this one, and sheet 2 is seat detail sheet. So now in sheet 1, what you want to do is you want to add one column to the right of each preference. So I want to add one column to the right of this E column. What I will do is I will go to F, I will right click at the top and I will say insert. So this is that added column. I will do the same for the remaining cells also. Now I will name them as available 1, available 2, available 3 and available 4. I will zoom out a bit so that you can see it all clearly. What I can do is I can really narrow them because we do not need them to be very broad. Okay. Now this naming of available 1, 2, 3 and 4, that naming can change. Now what you do is we want 3 more columns here. Now the first column we will name as auto allotment, or I am just keeping it short as auto allotment. Then I will write as final allotment, and the last would be department. Okay, and I will just apply the same formatting on these cells as well. I can just select them and make them cross. So now at least we have added the columns that needed to be added. Now it is the time to start applying the formula. So we go back to sheet 2. Now here we apply, in this column we apply formula COUNTIF. So what we are going to do is we are going to go in a particular cell, we are going to formula, we are going to more functions, statistical functions, and we are going to go to COUNTIF. So in which range do we want to count? So we will go back to sheet 1, we will keep this box open, we will go to sheet 1 and we will select this range of the entire column of final allotment. And then what is the criteria? The criteria is going to be geology, right? And we want to make these absolute. The reference is to be absolute, and we hit OK. Because in this range that we selected, final allotment, this range, at this time we have not written a geology even once. Because we have not written it, you can see that this is 0. Now what we can do is we can just pull this down, and you can see that because there is nothing is written, we are getting these results as 0. Right? Now I'm just showing you what it's going to do. Consider that I write here geology, right? Consider that the first student Rohit is allotted a seat of geology. You can go back to the seat details and you can see that it is writing, it has already come up with 1 here, right? Now it is time to apply the second subtraction formula. I will delete this because this is not the final allotment. That was just to demonstrate. Now I will go back to seat details and I will apply another formula here, which is subtraction formula. What do I want to subtract? These are remaining seats. So 6 seats are total, allotted is 0. So 6 minus 0 is 6. So what I want to apply here is equal to this cell minus this cell. And because at this point no seat has been allotted, it will come as 6. We will pull it down to apply this to all the other seats as well. Now we go back to sheet 1. Here what we have done is we have created these columns. the available columns, available 1, 2, 3 and 4. We want to apply X lookup function to these cells. Let us apply that. So we will go to this first cell, we will go to formulas, we will go to lookup and reference, and then we will go to X lookup. Now lookup value is which is besides this, which is E2. Then where do we want to look up for this value? So we will go in the sheet 2 and we want to look it up in this particular array. We will make them absolute. And which do we want to be the return array? We will again go back to sheet 2 and we want the remaining seat column to be the return array, and we also want it to be absolute reference. When I say absolute reference, what I am doing is that if I pull down the formula to apply to other cells, it will not change this particular reference. So that is why it is to be done. And how it is done is you just go on that, where you have written E6 and hit F4 on your keyboard. Now once this is done, then you just say OK. So now you can see that at this point, because metallurgy seats, none of the metallurgy seats have been given, not even one is allotted, which means it says that total 4 are available and it says 4 besides metallurgy. Now what we can do is we can just pull down this in this formula and we can select this one. We can copy it by Control C and Control V, and we can just apply it. And now you can see that in here that the reference is absolute and it is seeing the G2 which is just besides it. Now we can again pull this down. We can go here and we can copy this and we can apply this, then pull it down and copy this, and we can apply this and we can pull it down. So what it is going to do is, consider that we have the final allotment for this one is this. I am giving you an example, is metallurgy. Now the moment I write metallurgy here, what it is going to do is it's going to count and it's going to write 1 here in allotted seats. So metallurgy 4 total seats, 1 is allotted and now 3 is available. So now you can see that wherever metallurgy is written in this particular table, the number that is besides it is 3, right? Now consider that another one also gets metallurgy, then you will see that the numbers are changing in real time. I will delete both of these right now. Now once this has been allotted, now what we want to do is in auto allotment column, this column, we want to apply the function of nested if or IFS. So the way I had shown you in that colored shirt example, what we are going to see is we are going to see if this value is more than 0, that means seats are available, so you allot him this. If it is 0, then you go to the second value and then allot this, and then third value allot this, and then this value and allot this. So I will go to this particular cell called as auto allotment and I will go to logical functions and go to IFS. The first logical test is this, and the test says that if F2 is more than 0, if it is true, then I want the person to be given metallurgy. If it is false, then I want to see this number, and if this is more than 0, then I want him to give this number, this particular text. The third test is if this is more than 0, then I want him to give this. And the next test is if this is more than 0, then I want to give him this. And with this, we end the formula. We say OK. Now we want to pull this down and apply this to every other cell. Now comes the most important part, which is to be understood here. We want to understand that at this point, this particular cell is applying nested if condition to these cells, which means that as we keep on applying these departments, it is possible that after application, this one will change again. Let us see. I will give you another example here. So let us do this, that for this particular list, which is going to be the final allotment, we are going to apply data validation. So in this list, what we want is the names from a particular list. So we select this, we go to Home tab, we go to Data tab, we go to Data Validation, and then we go to List. Which list do we select? We again go back to Sheet 2 and we select these 5. And we say OK. Which means that now you can see that you can directly select in each cell. And in the last column, which is department, the way I want to create the final allotment order for the students is I also want to specify department. So what I can do is here I can go here, I can apply formula which is lookup and reference, which is the same as X lookup. So the lookup value is going to be this. Lookup array is going to be this, and we want to make them absolute. And the return array is going to be this, because that is going to be the department, and we also want to make them absolute. And we hit OK. Now because we have not allotted any. Now consider that I allot metallurgy to this person. You can see that department of metallurgy, which corresponds to, this is metallurgy, the department of metallurgy, it already pops up. I will delete it for a moment, and what I will do is I will pull this formula down. Right? So now the actual entire allotment process begins. So these are the students' names allotted as per their merit, and these are their choices. So the first choice is metallurgy. Metallurgy is available. So what you do is, this is one thing that you have to do manually, whereby you just disregard everything else that is written beneath it and everything else that is written above it. Just write this here. So because it is metallurgy, you write metallurgy. Now because it is written as botany, now whatever is written here you disregard it, and everything else that is written here you disregard it. You just write this here, which is botany. Now again botany, then again metallurgy, then again botany, then again geology, then metallurgy. Now it may so happen that depending on the way the seats are going, it may so happen that these choices will change as you go ahead, but please disregard them. Okay, so here you write astronomy, here you write botany, and then geology, and then astronomy and geology and astronomy. Now can you see that before this, see this, that this person is getting astronomy right now, right? But that is the last seat probably. So the moment I write astronomy here, not just that this next person's choice is changing, that is already changing, right? But his own choice is also changing, because the formula does not know that you have already allotted. So when I'm writing this particular value in this cell, I am going to disregard everything that is above it and everything that is beneath it. When I am writing it, whatever is to its left is what I am going to write. So this is how the entire list is populated. Now when you are there to create a final allotment, then in that case what you can do is you can just copy these names depending on your choice, the names, and then you can just select these two and then copy and paste them. So now you know that if just in order to explain this, if I can hide all of these columns for a moment, you can say that this a student named Rohit got metallurgy in the Department of Metallurgy, Mehak got botany, Charvi got botany, Sunil got metallurgy, and Nihar got geology, so on and so forth. So this is how the allotment was done. Let us unhide those columns. So the way it is happening right now is very simple. You write something here, the COUNTIF counts it here, changes the remaining seat. When it changes the remaining seat, these numbers are changed. Because these numbers are changed, then the nested if function brings a different value here, and that value then you write here, right? So this is how the allotment of seats depending on a particular order or merit can be achieved in Excel. If you have made it this far, I really appreciate you watching the entire video. I truly want that you provide me with some feedback in the comments. Secondly, if you are wondering how the preferences can be collected, so in the exercise that I really conducted during my job, it was done through Microsoft Forms, which are pretty much similar to Google Forms. So I'm very sure that the preferences can be collected by a Google Form also. And the entire process that we just saw can be done in Google Sheets as well. All the three files that I talked about in the video are available to download with a Google Drive link, which is there in the description box. So if you just want to practice around, then you can download that practice data set. Till next video, thank you so much for watching.